I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hey everybody, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. This is a podcast about the movie industry, video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, and many more cool things I find to be in the same realm of business and creative ventures. Like always, a huge thanks goes to my Patreon supporters who really make this podcast possible. Without your generous donations, I wouldn't be able to continue creating these episodes and be really close to episode 150, which isn't a small number, being that I've been doing this podcast for nearly 3 years and I've been able to do that because of you. So huge thanks goes to my Patreon supporters and everybody else who is supporting me through, of course, YouTube, by subscribing and by being here for my new episodes. Why I said that this is a podcast about the movie industry? Because this episode is going to be about the movie industry, more particularly the movie industry from my hometown, more precisely my home state of Serbia, home country, where the movie industry is presently in a state of renaissance. Why I'm saying this? Because recently I watched the new Hellraiser movie and I found out that it was shot completely in Serbia, more precisely Belgrade, and studios and other locations around Belgrade. So it was shot during the last summer in July 2021 and it ended shooting in October the same year. And thanks to the fact that it's set in Serbia, I watched the film from a completely different angle, seeing a lot of the locations that I know that are in Serbia, but the film doesn't play upon that fact. It's simply set somewhere in the US and it was shot in Serbia to use some of the elements of the story that are actually inside of the same narrative based in Serbia, more precisely Belgrade, but the rest is based in the US, at least according to the narrative. Now that's really cool because Serbia can now blend in basically any other location, not just the US but generally global locations, which is very useful for movies that are not set narratively in the Balkan region or the Serbian country as is. Instead, they're simply taking place, whatever that plot might be occurring, but they're filmed in Serbia because of the benefits and advantages it offers to movie productions. And these are basically, it has a lot of potential shooting locations, including some major studios that can be set or rigged to look like anything you or the production company wants them to look like, but also has a lot of cool locations that are basically something in line of Central Europe, but with some elements of Mediterranean, without the sea, of course. A lot of nature that is also, let's call it continental climate nature, and specific locations like elements of Belgrade or other major cities, or specific sets of locations that are nature-based or history-based or whatever else you might want to have in your movie. Additionally, we have a lot of educated movie professionals from the technical side. We have a huge number of actors, especially young actors today, who are fluent not only in English but in many other languages, and these can be great as stand-ins, as secondary supporting roles or tertiary roles, or even really high value people who will be engaged in the production as actors but won't have any major roles. That's a really big advantage because, for example, a film like Hellraiser can bring in just a handful of people who will be actors from abroad. Everyone else will be basically recruited locally. And lastly, we have a lot of tax credit advantages. Tax credits are given to productions that come to Serbia to support the growing industry through these tax reductions and other financial benefits that make shooting in Serbia actually very financially feasible. All of these are excellent advantages, excellent benefits, and the results are pretty impressive when it comes to Hellraiser, at least from a production standpoint. It looks cool, it has a lot of elements. I'm not going to go into the movie itself, I actually didn't even finish it. But production-wise, it uses really the concept of shooting in Serbia to the utmost effect, and I'm certain that it managed to save a lot of money doing the same without actually having to risk or jeopardize any artistic or quality elements in terms of the actual story or the value of the movie as is. Hopefully, Serbia is going to get more and more movies to be shot here the same way, because that's a win-win for everyone. International production gets a great place to shoot on budget. Serbia gets a place to kind of use and expand and enhance its movie industry, which is locally also in a solid state. Serbia has been producing a lot of movies for a country of this size. We're a pretty small country, basically 7 million inhabitants, even less now, but still we managed to have a substantial movie industry, which is now coming into its own on the international market, let's call it like that. And of course, I'm a teacher at the Novi Sad Academy of Arts. I teach game design, but there is a lot of my colleagues who are teaching basically movie industry related artistic courses. All of these can get their chance to go into action for international productions, international companies, and there's a big benefit to it all, and especially including my hometown of Novi Sad. The beautiful Novi Sad has a bunch of excellent potential shooting locations. Several TV show productions have been set here recently. Mostly they're based from companies working in India, but there is going to be, I'm sure, a lot of additional productions here as well. And that's a great thing for the city as well. You know, you want to have movies, you want to have TV shows set in your city. Just look at the example of Prague in the Czech Republic. It had a huge boom in the 1990s, and that was a win-win for everyone, especially Prague. So we're hoping here in Serbia that this trend, like the thing we saw in Hellraiser, will continue and continue to grow in the coming years. So there's a big potential for the Serbian movie industry inside of its global partner. Let's call it the partnership with the global movie industry, and hopefully that partnership will continue to expand and grow, and everyone will be better for it. At least that's my hope. That's all for this episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. If you didn't check out Hellraiser, it's available on a bunch of streaming services. And if you have a movie you'd like to shoot somewhere in the world, consider Serbia, and especially my hometown of, again, the beautiful Novi Sad. We would love to see you here creating your amazing works of art in the domain of movies and TV shows and streaming, web series, whatever you might want to create. That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Again, a huge thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. You really make the I'm Gaming Podcast possible. We're zoning in to episode 150. Hopefully I have something cool and interesting for the same episode. Hopefully you found this cool and interesting, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I would love to see you for my new episodes, new videos, and whatever else I might be working on in the coming weeks and months. Until then, have a great day. Thank you for being here, and bye bye.